Here we have a wardrobe that's up. I'm still wearing Men in the Trenches clothes. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Secret, featuring normally the main man himself, Vincent Davis. He is out saving children right at this second, so he's asked if I could step in for him. And we have a wonderful guest this evening, Angelina Ray Andrioli, very much so needing to discuss some CPS and very Italian name. Angelina, nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's definitely a situation that I don't like to discuss. When I discuss it, I like to make sure it comes from the heart. You know, it's definitely something that you don't actually know how bad it is until you actually are going through it, and it shouldn't have to be that bad.
Facts.
Nobody warns you about it.
Right. Let me guess. Before this, if anybody told you CPS came into your life, you're like, oh, they must be terrible people. I can't stand them. Get away from me. Right? Like that type of attitude.
I never role played it. I never thought that I'd ever be in a situation where they just out of nowhere, without having any actual reason, no evidence, no heads up, just come and kidnap my kids out of my mom's home while I'm in the hospital. I never thought that was out. Well, I was rationally thinking I never even had nightmares about this. I thought my nightmares were bad before this.
Right, because CPS is meant for, helping the children that need help. Their parents are in a dumpster and they, haven't eaten in months, and they're writing on the walls with God knows what. They're terrible. It's a terrible situation. That's what CPS is, right? That's the kids that they're stealing. They're not stealing the kids in everyday people's homes that did nothing wrong. That's not happening. These parents are the ones. So where are you? What state are you coming from?
I'm out of Massachusetts.
Oh, you're right down the street from me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm right here in Maine. I'm only 45 minutes away from Boston. So.
Oh, yeah. Boston. That's
where it's. Do you know Kevin Seaver?
Yeah. I've been speaking with him.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's a good dude. I talked to him. Oh, yeah, because this week's first Saturday too. So he's probably on first Saturday this month. But we see him on first Saturday. Yeah, he's a no horse business type of guy. He gets it done. No nonsense. He's what it is. He's just a mean old Boston CPS man. Yeah.
You need. It's at the end of the day. I'm not. You don't. When you go into these things and you're innocent, right? You're not thinking logically that you're going to need to hire the best representation, because you're I'm innocent. I didn't do anything wrong. They stole my kids legally. And then you realize here you are, and they have every right to do what they want to do because they make their own rights. Because if you don't know, like Kevin Seaver says, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any rights. And unfortunately, the Fourth Amendment was not protecting me and my children.
Right. You waited for justice to come swooping into the courtroom and them people to figure it out and realize that these people are liars and everything's wrong. The same thing I did. By no means was there any way that we were going to be found guilty. No way. Every day, my wife and I say it. Every day. They're crazy. If they even think they can get away with this. And guess what?
Literally.
They've gotten away with it. We still fight, but they've gotten away with it. We had no idea about so many things that Mr. Davis talks about the rules.
Oh my God, right?
Our attorney, for instance, said that we don't want you guys to be involved in the 72-hour hearing because there's too much. It's a hearsay situation and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to waive that 72-hour hearing. Mr. Davis says that's one of the stupidest things that could have been done because, you should never waive any of these things, but it makes you look incompetent as a parent, like you don't care, you're not willing to do whatever, or that you're guilty. And we're like, no way they'll think that. Sure enough, TPR hearing, first thing that they came up with, these parents didn't even bother to come to the 72-hour hearing. They completely twist everything around on you. And if you think for a minute our lawyers stood up and said that was by our recommendation? Negative. Didn't do it. But with
you know, literally. And like I went to the 72-hour hearing, and they were trying to talk when we got there. My fiance and I, we both had separate attorneys and whatnot, and I at the time, like, you know, they didn't have a solid reason why they took my children, so they were trying to make up reasons why. My attorney, the attorneys that are appointed to the court, private attorneys, I'm sorry, like I literally got sold out and exploited from my attorney to the not the judge with my facts and information of what is factual and what is the findings. Like it was more of like they're bought into already selling. They already sold me out to DCF the second that like they got me in, because it's part of like, I feel like maybe money, babies.
Oh, yeah.
Like beautiful babies, healthy, my miracles, you know what I mean? Like they're like the happiest babies, you know. Mom has cancer, they think mom's gonna die, so they're like, mom's in the hospital, we don't know why. She just has cancer, we know she has tubes in her stomach, so like let's go take her kids.
How many babies?
And 1 year old and 2 years old.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. It's like the most
You were in the hospital and you found out you have cancer?
Yeah, I was in there. I thought I was in there from April, but I was getting out. I would go in and out, and I was from April until June 2nd, and that was the same day. June 2nd was the same day that they had made false reports that a hospital in Boston, or pediatric, their pediatrician rather, was said that they missed 7 appointments. However, we have it on recording that they did not miss 7 appointments, and they confirmed that in the pediatrician's office. You know, they bombed me. Yeah, they sold.
Must be a New England thing, because they did the same thing to my wife. They said that the baby missed all of her appointments when in fact she was there. As a matter of fact, one of the days my wife actually showed proof of the phone call talking to the person and was like, we were there. But then in court, they still try to say we weren't. That was one of those two.
Argument. Is it like a thing where it's a New England thing where like the private counsel is more public and like non-confidential than anything? I mean, I felt like there was no fight. I've been doing all the talking. I'm not represented right now because my attorney withdrew. That was private counsel the second that I had asked her why she had had gone to the DCF, whatever, no protection service agency to go in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you got that right.
It's like, so I can't call it that protection. It's like we should feel like it's a protection agency. That's what we need in our country.
Well,
it's protection.
The Division of Family Services. That's what they are. The Division of Family Services.
The division of funding off of families.
Division of Family. Cut it off. Drop the family up.
Yeah, it's like how many times, like what can we do to trigger and push, like, trigger a situation where we have a case, like what's going to look good. And at the end of the day, I was at the 72-hour hearing. I was the only one on that was on it for 6 hours straight, getting questions. They had the same questions. And it was like, they just kept talking about, so you're in the hospital, like you're in the hospital a lot. And I'm like, yeah, in 2014 I was. And he's like, you have cancer? I'm like, and I had my feet, like I have a feeding tube. I've lived with this disease, like gastroparesis and disability for since 2007. I opened up my own business with it. I've been battling. It's fine. It's good.
Legit, these are miracle babies for you then.
No, literally, I only had 1 year to like have them before God blessed me with 2 miracles back to back after having 8 miscarriages, and they never seen neglect or like any type of abandonment until the day that they went to the system. And it's been like the most. I wish I didn't know what I knew, because
true
I would that's the type of, and just because of the fact that I have this ongoing caseworker, they all disappeared before the court date that just got a extension, and I have my child's attorney fighting for them to get things moving for me in my favor, and when my own attorney isn't. And that's how it's broken. It's like he thought they were already doing.
What did they need an extension for?
The attorney, the judge wasn't there that they wanted. They only want one judge to hear the case, but I didn't know that was a law.
How long? Let me ask, do you have communications with your children?
Yeah, I go in there. I see them for 2 hours every week. That's it. And I'm in the reunification process right now. So like they're gonna just like reunify them with me. So they go from supervised to just it just doesn't make sense.
I was at the day that we went to our TPR trial, they said right there, the judge sat there and said, okay, the goal for these family is still reunification, correct? Yep, and they TPR'd us.
So wait.
Yeah, the goal was still reunification, but they TPR'd us.
No,
because they'll say
I'm so sorry. Like I like feel like I'm like they're trying so hard to put like they were banking on me going back in.
So what they did in my situation is my attorney suddenly had this epiphany that he wanted to be a better attorney. When my podcast started, they stopped my visits immediately with my daughter. Okay, no judge, no nothing. I didn't know this. I kept asking my attorney over and over, Peter, file something for me, please. Let's get an emergency thing. The visits said it would take too long. We had the TPR hearing coming up, all this stuff. Give me every excuse in the book. All of a sudden, though, come April or May, whatever one it was, he calls me up and he said that he doesn't think he was being the best lawyer he could be. So he's going to go ahead and file for an extension and, be able to study because his wife was sick or something like that, right? Okay, great. For a moment, I was like, God, this guy finally gets it. Because, I'm going to his court, I'm bringing in cases of books with me, all this stuff, throwing them down.
Yeah.
We get to the courtroom. We're going there for the TPR. I'm feeling okay. Well, the first thing they throw at me is I haven't talked to my daughter in 6 months. So the first thing on the table is that I've abandoned her. They got the 6 months to the day by my lawyer, putting us 2 months ahead of time. So like it was completely a staged thing. They got everything they needed. The abandonment, like I was already abandoned parent when I walked in there, not even knowing that 6 months without contact with your child, the state automatically considers you abandoning them.
That's like a I know that I was reading like that's insane. So the lawyer, like for example, in your situation, like they went to extend it only in order for them to have extended it for them to be able to do the ceremony.
Correct. I mean, you can talk about or it coincidentally, whatever. But come on, So you said you go in the hospital. What was their abuse and neglect from you?
Oh, so they had gone to so they called my mom. So there was no open case or anything. They were it was substantial. They just were concerned because of they had their eyes on my daughter. My daughter's because when I went to the hospital in Boston with my daughter and I was advocating for her, and an internist, she was inpatient and she had laryngomalacia, and I had advocated for her and advocated that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and that the doctor and I was very polite about it. I'm very informative in the medical field, so I used big words, and the doctor realized that my daughter coded the night before when I told him to go look at the things, and then right after that I ended up having a call from the social worker to come up because he needed to talk to me, and I was just downstairs printing things out at the family center and found out that the doctor called GCF and that my child was in by proxy. I don't want to take a healthy baby home because I was getting a second opinion no matter what from a hospital out in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? And I had just made the comment. My godmother, on the other hand, was making making the assertiveness with them. However, it retaliated on me, and the worker didn't support the allegations of medical negligence, whatever. But what she did do was she came to my house the next day, my godmother's house the next day in Rhode Island, where I was currently like in between moving to Massachusetts. I was in Rhode Island. Wasn't sure if I was going to move there yet because I was like I had a feeling. I already had the place, but I was just like not really moving in yet, kind of thing. And basically, she brought up all of a sudden domestic violence issues that happened. Never in front of the kids. Mind you, I had a decent worker come every single time there was ever an issue. are concerned, and they never opened a case. They never found it to be that the children were ever in any kind of harm. They didn't even like and it's all documented. And now this lady comes and talks about a year ago's domestics when my kids weren't even born. And I'm like, okay, so she's telling me, reminding me what my face looked like. And I'm like, okay, well, you're talking about somebody that has severe PTSD from me and the Marines. I said, I'm not telling you that it's justifiable, but I'm saying who's is getting him help for the root of the problem versus, I said, I've broken the chain, like we were co-parenting, we were separated, he's working on himself. I'm working with, on myself, healing and understanding the fact that I was with some babies, you know what I mean? And I was my own health. And like after my daughter actually trained my daughter how to swallow so she didn't need to, she was aspirating when she was swallowing because she had like a floppy larynx. And like we strengthened her larynx and all that. But this lady just re-victimized me about like everything under the sun, about, like the reports that have like 2014. I'm like, what? And like, so I'm sitting there puzzled and my godmother is sitting next to me and I wasn't not ever willing to talk alone. I know the laws, you can't record, you can't do this. I told them I was recording them because I don't feel safe and protected. I'm legally disabled. I, for a fact, knew that they knew that because that's what the doctors, that's how the doctors at the hospital, I used to go there. I also worked there. They didn't know that though. And they still, so they like, there were so many violations of rights and like, I was so stumped and my godmother's sitting there stumped and she's just like, we didn't know what to say. Because like, holy crap, like it came out of left field, like we were expecting to hear about like how they were gonna help us switch pediatricians and like
they're coming to help you with your situation and all this good stuff.
And like, let's support you. They said, let's show you what the system's really for. Let's show you how the system really works. Take advantage of it. You get daycare. Daycare is for free. My daughter's 8 months old. Daycare. I said, and daycare for my daughter that's 1.5, and like we are not. I never like thought of daycare in my life like at that young age, right? Why? Because like if I'm a stay-at-home mom and like these babies like I was able to had that plus it's just like they were just like, yeah, just let us show you what this is for. We're just gonna make sure that you are able to get all the support. It's not an open case. We just want to make sure that you continue doing everything that like you're doing now, and like we're supporting you by it because I mean you were really abused. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, like bringing up like I'm like, okay, and the kids were. I'm like looked at her and I'm just like
whoa, what? I was abused? What?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, and she starts reading it like about like lines from like a police report from like when like the father of my children, who again was a Marine veteran, just got a severe PTSD, and it was an isolated situation. It wasn't like a chronic, he's not a woman beater, you know what I mean? But the kids weren't there, right?
Right.
However, she's just talking about my face and what it looked like, my black eyes, and how like my head got smashed. And I'm like, okay, now she's fab. Like I just was lost for words. I'm just like sitting there like, are you done yet? And I asked her how this had to do with my case, or like what, and even the social worker at the children's pediatrician and like the hospital had asked them not to do any involvement with me into the anti-protection services, put it that way, because it was only going to do me harm because I was doing so well with, making sure that my children were not, and I were safe, separated. Dad and I were living separately. He was working on his mental health. I was working on moving forward with the children and like doing all the things that like a survivor would do. But she just wanted me to be a victim. They didn't have a reason.
You're going along right as you're supposed to, strengthening yourself up, strengthening your bonds. Life's good. You're gaining self-confidence. You've just, you're undergoing all these bad things, but you're coming around the bend and you're doing all right. So let's not interrupt this.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, she was just like, "Oh, we're definitely gonna keep this concern because we want to be able to give you the free daycare. We want to give you the P1 services, and we can say, I'm like." She's like, you get free stuff, and I'm like, I don't need free stuff. And she's like, and she's like, but let us show you how the system's really supposed to work. Because I told her I worked with the DCYFs in other states before, and as a volunteer, as a peer parent support worker, they don't know anything about me because they never did an assessment. Because at the time of when they made that substantial thing, it was to keep dad away from me. But guess they went to when I was in the hospital. The second that I was in the hospital and I wasn't willing, like they weren't coming in to talk to me. They weren't coming in to see how I was doing and like, or asking me questions of what's wrong with me. They made an assumption. So they created a character out of me that I wasn't able to perform in my own performance that they made, which was that mom was not taking care of her medical conditions. Mom had the children at the grandmother's house. My mom had a back brace on. So they were saying that my mom was incapable of moving. Discriminating like against, and like this is like I took it seriously. It's insane. So it's like insane. So they brought it to that level, and then they were like, we talked to the ombudsman before I even let them go to my mother's house, because when they called me the day that they actually called, but they called dad like in early in April, right? And that was the first admission. Mind you, my kids were coming in to see me. I was seeing them. I was going home. I get discharged. It was post-surgical complications of feeding tubes, right? So now, mind you, like the day that they took the kids was the last day that I've been admitted into the hospital. To show you that, like, it was interesting though how they had taken it from somewhere that was supposed to be supportive, keep dad away, keep mom, keep them both on the right track. But you're calling dad to tell dad this case open, substantial concern against mom, and that they wanted dad to bring the kids to him. They met their father with he went and got the kids, and like he made sure he wasn't alone, and he picked up our good she's considered she's family. It's godmother. It's and she went with him for the ride. And I'm in the hospital still, and I'm like, so these people wanted me away from him, but they're telling him they have to see the kids. And the ombudsman was like, oh yeah, they don't like give nothing to hide, so just do it. Like just let it go, let them do it. I'm like, oh okay. I was like, that's fine. And then mind you, like I ended up having a modified no contact order, and like that ended up leading into he's in Veterans Court. We got that all taken care of. I ended up at the time when they did that, there was a restricted modification to the no contact order. So like they made sure to make it so that I had to release that before it was really ready to go.
Yeah.
Trigger him and trigger me to end up in a situation where like they were supporting dad, not mom. They were saying, dad, you need a parent support worker because mom's always in the hospital.
Right.
They bring dad to my house, and they have written a report that I won't tell dad to leave my house when he doesn't live at my house. Yes. It is so insane. And like the facts, like we have everything documented, like, and we haven't had a day in court. Like I was cross-examined on the 72-hour hearing. That was it. I was the only one that was
you haven't gone to court. You haven't gone to court. You haven't gone to court since your 72-hour hearing.
No, they had. That's why the children's.
No phone call, no Zoom, no nothing.
No nothing. Just like it was on. They went to court, so they did go to court for like the children's attorney summons like the court to do a check-in with the other attorneys, and that same day was when I was exploited by my it's funny. I ended up they gave dad my address. They triggered dad on his birthday. It was when we had the 72-hour hearing. It happened to be that dad.
What was it? When was the 72-hour hearing? Like, how long have you been sitting without that?
June 8th.
June 8th. Of this year? June 8th of this year?
Yeah. And no attorneys has gone to bat, like private counsel, but yet they're exploiting me, and not like you're not going to the judge with my information. You're going to the attorney for DCF. It's a little weird. You know what I mean? For me to be, and I can't not stick up for myself. When it comes to the attorney, like I get it, kiss butt with like the social workers and DCF, and like they're not kidnappers, and you know you love him so much. But honestly, it got to the point where I can't look stupid. I'm not gonna let myself play. Like I was honest with the caseworker. Like we were doing reunification. It's like since July 16th, she admitted to me that there was no reason for them to take the kids. I'm right, and that unfortunately they didn't know this until after they took the children from my mom's house at 12:00 a.m. In the morning, the same day that they came earlier in the day, and now she's in Rhode Island, so it was they weren't even supposed to cross the line out of the state. It was Massachusetts came into Rhode Island. posed as Rhode Island DCF workers and had the Rhode Island
Are
State
you
Police with them.
Are you in Rhode Island or are you in Massachusetts?
I'm in Massachusetts. My mom was in Rhode Island. I was originally from Rhode Island, but that's where they were with my mom. Yeah, and so when they had done that, they had they taken the kids from my mother's house, but they were there that day, and they told my mom. My mom was, my mom has severe PTSD, right? Where like she gets very like she has a lot of things, and it has a generational like curse like that I broke. But like the things that like there's so you can't bring up soft subjects, for example. That you know how to gaslight, manipulate, and really make sure that and like they know who the victims are. They target and they know what they're doing. And, like they eat it all up, and they knew exactly what they were doing from the second that they stepped foot in my mother's house that day. Because I mean, I was trying to get out of the hospital faster so I could meet them with the kids, but there was no urgency for them to do that on the 8th. I mean, on the 2nd of June.
Right.
However, listening to the ombudsman.
Yeah. How long did it take
he said
from the
they never had a warrant.
No, that's nice. That's good. Like for instance, my daughter when they came when they were coming to take her, they put it out on let's say it was the 14th, and then they showed up on the 22nd. So it was such imminent danger that they waited an additional 8 days to come and take her. And then
wow, and that was the same state, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just shows the imminent danger. Like for me, imminent danger is explosives, bombs, ambulances.
Malnourished, like they're like beaten.
Yeah. None of this happens. None of it.
Did they take her to the hospital? Did they go to the hospital after they had? Okay, so they took my 2 children directly to the Boston hospital, and there was nothing wrong with them at all. Everything was checked off. Child protection conditions. They tried saying my daughter's tooth was chipped. It was a double tooth grew in. How do they feel? And it was, but that was it. Nothing.
Yeah. So my daughter had been outside playing with me all day and whatever, and we were building stuff outside. We did daddy-daughter stuff, and she had a snarl in her hair. That's what they made a big deal. Miss not taking care of her because she had a snarl, a little snarl right here in her hair. That like from me and her doing whatever, playing in the dirt and mud. But that's what they got back on the medical report was the snarl in her hair.
The snarl in her hair. That like it wasn't from the car seat that they just drove her in and like and playing around. I was snarls all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, they didn't have a car seat. They had to take ours. They didn't have a car seat for her.
How old is your daughter?
She's 5 going on 6 now. She was 3 when they took her. And we have we have that one. Then we have a 24-year-old also. So Mary, this is funny, just like you. My wife now. So my ex-wife, she left when Bree was 4, my oldest daughter. 4, never turned back, never nothing. Just see you later, bye. My current wife, I met when she was 10, and she's been there since forever now. Well, my current wife wasn't able to have kids, so our baby that they took is very much like your situation. It was an act of God, miracle, the whole 9, and they took that from us.
Yeah,
it's terrible that
they're taking like and now. It's insane to think that they're able to do this, and like these, like we're worried about like these other countries right now. Like we're worried about like getting these really, and I'm not. This is nothing. This is not politics. I never thought I'd be into politics. But let me just tell you, like because Cameron is the most like He worked. So at first I was for his friend. Then he worked for me, at my marketing company of out in Rhode Island, and then I ended up being in California. I moved to California, San Diego, which I never left. But I ended up coming back because I thought the Boston Medical was so good, not realizing that they were like, put it this way, they partnered up with the whole Children's Hospital in Johns Hopkins in Florida. That's enough said, right? Yeah. So basically, and that happened over the last like 4 years because there was a different president and CEO of that hospital prior. It was never like this. Yeah. But however, like what they did was the children were not home. They already had removed them from care, and they refused at the 72-hour hearing to put them. Like they were the to mom, or like they were gonna stay with like until the it went under advisement, because the only argument that they had was the DCF attorney was saying that judge, you should just wait until mom and dad's Corey check comes back. And then he's like, and mom needs to get the baby Similac right. I'm like, it's still Enfamil, buddy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and then he's like well, the Corey check. So it was under advisement, and then it was on a Friday. That Sunday was his birthday, and him and I knew that I triggered him, and I'm depressed. I lost the loves of my life. Like I was still trying. I'm calling. I haven't slept. I'm like crying my eyes out. Like, and how the heck do you anyone should not be normally? I think it's abnormal to be calm and stable in a situation like that. I think you're mentally not stable if you are not able to regulate emotion, show emotion. Like those are your like pride, joy, like miracles. Your little baby girls. Like you've never been without them. Like, and then all of a sudden you just don't know what they are. And it's so insane that they're able to do this. And like to make parents get to the point where they have to get torn apart because like now like they know, like they gave dad like, you know, my the new address, but they were telling me to move there because they were going to make sure dad didn't have the address. Like he was never a violent person. He's still a violent person. He has mental PTSD from going and serving for our country. God forbid though.
Oh, okay. So he's a soldier.
He was a Marine, and then he had his domestic.
Wow.
So on his birthday, and like you know what, they made sure that they did everything to make sure they set that up properly. Though, you know, it was accordingly with the timing. They went under advisement because they knew it was his birthday on Sunday. Court was on Friday, and it worked out in their favor for them to return the kids to me on Monday. But yet, making sure dad had a reason to come to my house on his birthday, knowing that I was going to not have any. I just testified again. Like they were making me testify about like the domestic violence, and I was like, and the judge was not allowing it. She was a brand new judge. She was just allowing the discrimination. Like they were discriminating against the disabilities. They were asking questions like if I was like crying about like okay, so yeah, and like how many times did you get beat up? And he's sitting right there, and it's like in the context where it's beat up. I'm like, how many times did we have a situation? Or was it as many as only the police reports you have? Like there was no, it wasn't an ongoing like chronic like you know like we had the best relationship. We still are best friends, right? Unfortunately, what dad was because that happened, right? And the children were not home. They already took them to the social worker's auntie's house verbatimly. Qualified it. That's the truth. I studied. Yeah, no, I like. So I had to investigate myself. Like, you get to the point where I'm like, all right, no, they don't want to investigate me. They don't want to ask me questions. Like, I'm not gonna ask them. I'm just gonna do the investigation that they should be doing. They come at me saying that Oceana's. I'm sorry. My daughter's dad is her brother. I'm like, what? Like, that's what you guys got, Spokio? You know what I mean? And like, it got to the point where it's like. Dad has a restraining order now they put in place. After that happened, they were like just gong-ho to go file a 50 on him while the kids weren't even there, nothing. But they filed it on him and then told me I was not getting my kids back unless I went. And I did. I put it on the children as well. They have the best relationship with their dad. That every single day that I see, it breaks my heart. They look for a daddy. My daughter's like starting to walk her first steps. Like you can't get these moments back. Sorry, my oldest daughter that's turned 2. Both of them just had birthdays inside of the, you know, like I had to take them to Chuck E. Cheese and stuff, you know, and then inside of the office, and it was like really. But I've been promised reunification this whole time, and like they just keep like you know everyone. Once I realized my head was on my shoulders, and I wasn't crying anymore, I was angry, but I was very unstable. And I had, she said, the social worker said to me verbatimly, I'm a real blank bitch, and you're not going to walk out of that courtroom on August 1st without your children. I said, okay, that was the next court date. And I'm like, I'm not waiting till August. And she's like, just enjoy the time for yourself. It's like being a dead horse. If we keep talking about how like we shouldn't have taken them, we didn't know that until after we took them. I'm like, so you can't give it back to me?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that too. That a lot of people that we speak with, a lot of people they give these taunting statements to people. Like this derogatory comment about not returning your
You,
kid. It's almost like it's like a business card of like you little rotten blah blah blah. It's such a gross, intimidating game that they are playing. And
they don't
I
have a
just
right
want
to
to
do it, and it's
no, of course, no. Listen, human beings are decent as it is. You should just be a good person. That has nothing to do with what your profession is. Saying things like that to you is just a derogatory, nasty quote from a bad person. Like there's a difference,
person.
and there's
Exactly.
ethics, there's right and wrong, and like these people go way above and beyond that stuff. Like this isn't even talking about what's legal now, because Mr. Davis even says it himself. What they're doing is not law. It's not legal. It's not right. He says, whatever you know
It's,
about court right now, forget about it. That's not what it is. You got to relearn. This isn't even what they've trained. So it's like it's just a rogue force of good and evil trying to come and steal children for a profit or for whatever other reasons, and they can
definitely
intimidate
for lunch
people.
money.
Yeah, and this is just awful.
And
I
like,
just want to take one. Hold on a second. I just want to take one second. I'm reading these comments here, and everybody, listen. I know I am absolutely not Mr. Davis. I will say this to everybody, and I too miss Mr. Davis. He is the reason that this show is the way it is. Just like he's just doing his thing right now, and we're just trying to keep it afloat. So please, just bear with us till um, Mr. Davis is done saving some world and he can be back. So I know that all of you guys would love to hear him over me. So because I am not a lawyer and I'm not him, but just please like bear with us until till he comes back, and we'll just all go through it there and do that. But thank you guys for watching anyway. But anyway, sorry about that, Angela. Go ahead, back to where you were.
sorry, I just realized
So
how to do this.
what did
On
you
the
figure
comments,
out?
so I didn't see them. I didn't see the comments till just now. I just figured it out.
Oh,
So
okay,
I'm
cool.
seeing them.
Yes, so you're seeing right. So the 72-hour hearing comes for you, okay? What they just threw this stuff at you. Then they start with the abuse of your husband or your ex. I'm not sure, whatever. He's a Marine that has PTSD that brought to this country, and now he's abusing you. Now, and I don't mean to keep saying this, but it's so funny. This must be a New England thing because guess what? That's what they try to play with my wife. Same thing. Well, Darren abuses you. He yells at you. This, that, this. She went to 5 different counselors. 5. And every one of them said the only problem she has is that CPS took our kid. There was no abuse. There was no nothing. But yet they're trying to roll these things in there, and that's what they're doing. It's the same thing they do. Substance abuse. What's the first thing you do in recovery and substance abuse? The first thing you do is build a huge support system. What does CPS do when they come into your substance abuse? They withdraw your support. They take your kids away. They take your family away. They do all this stuff. They do exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing for someone that needs to be rehabilitated. So it's proof that, like, they're not here to help us. They're not here to work with us. They're just here to be thieves to make money for our great nation that was once. That's really what it's all boils down to.
It comes down to like, I think it's, I think it just comes to the point where it's like, can we put the kids in like aspect, like not about mom, not about dad? What about these innocent little baby girls that have not been away from their mom and they're calling mommy and they're crying when they leave, and like the attachment that my daughters have with me, and they're like they can see that at these visits, like every single visit, my daughters both are crying, and like they just turned 1 and 2, so they and like my daughters are like. And it's like they don't. My daughter said the word scared at the last visit while we're on like a. That wasn't in her vocabulary. Like, what is she? So I'm like, what is she scared of? And it's like, I can't be there to save her. I'm not there for those moments for me to be able to. You can't get back time. And what they're doing is like, the first 3 years of a child's life is when they're growing the most. Their brains are growing, developing. To take away that from them and to put them at the line of the cost of their future, traumatizing them, making like the abandonment, the attachment that they don't no longer have, that loving, that bond, the putting them to sleep at night, reading them the books. Like, who's doing that? Like, I'm getting told that they've done 20, we had 30 names on the list for them to do with family and friends. Nope. They're just always a news story, just like it was with me. They just, nope, we're going to just do it. We just need you to do X, Y, and Z. I did the action plan 55 times. All it was just keep them updated on any new relationships and take a domestic violence course. I'm trained. I'm teaching these courses. I understand domestic violence, but do they understand mental health? And this will drive anyone crazy. Never mind the children. These little babies are, and like these, even the older ones, like you're taking like a child's main years of life. Like, I can't watch my daughter take her first step twice. Okay, it's like for them to be able to get away with this, and it's like, okay, we're worried about like funding Ukraine and funding like Russia's and my whatever country it was, but just like, what about our country right now? It's like we have DCFs, CPS, no protection agency, anti-protection agencies that are supposed to protect us. They're really doing like terrorism. Like, they're taking the kids out of the home, holding them for ransom, more or less, from the parents that know that they're going to fight for the kids, but they know that they're also going to be able to get the funded money from the feds. And it's always the ones that are in the welfare, child welfare, and not state like owned per se or governed, but like they're just as corrupt. Yeah. However, there's like 8.1 million in funding that they're getting for these kids to place foster homes. They have them in Massachusetts. They have kids in literally my oldest daughter was separated from her sister. They never were separated before. They separated them and put my daughter in 4 different foster homes before they put her into one of my other daughter. And it was all with all relations with the 4 social workers that no longer work there. Before the court date that was that they pushed.
My wife she swears that the caseworker at the end of this is going to end up with our daughter.
That's what the caseworker had resigned. She told me she was leaving because she had too many cases. She was going to a different office. And I have a new worker, and it was going to be the one that I was working like part-time with my daughter. It ended up happening that like my daughter, and like to say that they asked me, like, supervisor asked me, now she's kissing my butt because like, I started just calling it out how it is. I'm representing my. The judge didn't even appoint me a new attorney when the withdrawal. The attorney, it's just all corrupted. It's not fair. Now, like, if I was to die tomorrow, like, great, you guys proud of yourselves? You took away those little girls, like my miracles. They need mama just as bad as mama needs them, and their family. They always their father can't even. Yeah, and they're calling for daddy, and it's like daddy can't even FaceTime them. Like they put, and like the attorneys are just so slow. Like his attorney just keeps forgetting to put in the motion to modify the no contest order. I'm over here like, okay, well I gotta keep it on because like I'm not gonna get my kids back because like we have these aliens that are abducting kids and like holding them for ransom. Guys pay the money out, or once they get the money from like some aspect of it, right? Because everybody is in it for the dollar at the end of the day, and it's like these children aren't money; they're not for sale. I never had, and once in the Bible did it say that Jesus was going to bring miracles into your life to sell them back. No, they're coming in and they're trying to like they're corrupting a system that was supposed to protect. And now what happens to the kids that are actually getting beat up? They're looking at the wicks, they have problems. So the problems mean that they're going to have to expense money to get them help for those problems, which is a damn sin because at the end of the day, those kids need help. And then they're making foster homes look like really bad places, but they're really not. They're fostering those kids. But then the ones that are like, when it's like within the cult, there's a cult. There's a cult. And at the end of the day, like I strongly believe that there's some workers that have like really good intentions, right? There's some the foster parents, I'm sure they have really good intentions. But the ones that are doing it and they're affiliated with the social workers, or they know they're part of the scheme of like the funding money and like $3,600 a week per kid under 3 years old. They get for like, and they can just write off whatever they need the expenses for. They just write off. Of course. No one's checking it. Like, I called the executive department. I called the Department of Health and Human Services director in my state. She was mortified, but did she handle it? She's like, not the attorney. Kitty Walsh. Oh, my bad.
It's none of them care. Like the ombudsman's for any, like they're supposed to be the overseers of these guys, and you'll call them, and blatantly, all of us on here, I'm reading the comments, all of us have the same arguments. Call your ombudsman. How can all of us be wrong? How can so many of us that are doing the same arguments, the same complaints, going to the courtroom with the same things be wrong? How can it be? It can't.
I mean,
No
we couldn't, like, we didn't even see this out. I didn't even talk to you before this show. This is
Right.
alive. Like, I'm telling you what it is. The husband said it, like, he was part of this. He told me to let them go to my mom's house and see the kids. There was 4 women there. I have a baby camera that monitored everything. There was no lack of. My mom's just literally had a back brace because she had surgery. She was signed off that she was able to take care of the kids by her doctor. I do that. I'm OCD with who the kids are with. They're gonna go in there. They played her. They knew the whole thing, and it's like, if this was their children, how would they feel? I had the supervisor tell me early on when they thought they could bully me. Mind you, like, she asked me, "Are the tubes in your stomach?" Must have been because he was punching you in your stomach because you haven't been in the hospital since you've been in jail. Yeah, and everything's recorded because you know what? I tell them, they know they're getting recorded. I'm like, at the end of the day, I am legally my human rights, my civil rights, and like my the disability act will cover this. Yes, I'm legally disabled because I have something that's not going to go away. I'm still able. I'm able. And then I had that bumps and asked me if it was a cognitive. I'm like, 4 months into it. I'm like, you're asking me now? Do you think we've had any conversation? I said, I think you have it. I think you're cognitively delayed, buddy. You're asking me this now if I have a cognitive or physical disability. Can we talk about my children? Like can I talk to somebody that's like qualified to work here? It's like, me. He goes, me. I'm like, oh my God. And so like that's when I just took it in my own hands. I was like, I'm not gonna get justice. I don't know if you ever been to massoutreach.com.
Yep.
I advise guys to look on that website. Tony Gregory Hyson, he has it all up there. He wrote it. But everything is so true on there. And to think that like my dad's German. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying, stating facts, right? In German, right? The protection agency was the concentration camp. And it's like, can we make this a protected country and doing right by children and family? And this is like what it comes down to, is like making parents want to, like, they're trying to push you into a mental like situation where you're gonna like have a mental breakdown. And they got Cameron. They got the father of my children to do that. And like where like he blacked out, like he just was triggered. Like it's like, and then me, like, I don't know how like I haven't like every night, like I'm like, look, how do you stay in a house that's not a home? My family fell apart overnight. Where like this is like and it's like to think of like I'm getting supervised visits and they don't even know why they have. They literally admitted to me that they have no reason why they have the children, but because, like she said, it's like beating a dead horse. If we keep talking about how we shouldn't have took them. Because like now they're already gone. We're taking them. Now we're gonna reunify you with them. But like we have to move past that so we can get the reunification done. The action plan. I finished an action plan like within 2 hours of her leaving. I was taking the parenting class was even better. It's like it's for parents that don't want to be parents. So I'm sitting here listening. I'm like, are you guys serious? Like they come from like these like kind of.
That's right. Yeah, I know this stuff.
And like
I know how you know.
Yeah. I'm like you're these people are on here complaining about changing a diaper. I'll change every diaper for the rest of my goddamn life. Over and over again, they can blow out on me to have those kids back in my arms. And you're gonna complain about changing your baby's diaper?
Yeah, right.
Because they're gonna change my diaper when I'm older. They're my girls. And you know what? The best part is that they haven't lost that bond with me yet. Where like my daughter's starting to get like older one is starting to like say things like the scared part. This mama, I'm scared. And then she was on the teacher train ride and like it was. I'm like, she didn't know that word before. Why does she know that word? Why does she have a rash? Why a diaper rash? Like she was potty trained when she went in. Why is she not potty trained anymore? And it's like, oh, okay. And like, so I did my background, like common sense and logic type of thing that I had my best of my ability and utilized like my knowledge to the best I can. No one told me I couldn't do it. So I ended up finding out that they really are with somebody that's with from the family of the resigned till shorter. That's affiliated with all of the other ones that had left. They all left on September 2nd. And now I have no caseworker, just supervisor. And she just keeps calling. She just wants all that reunification doing in the office.
She's just marching the steps.
Signing no civil suit. Why?
She's just marching down the road.
Oh yeah,
with you,
she's
just
covering her own butt.
going, she's not trying to do anything
Mhm.
to help you. She's
And
just
she-
trying to waste time.
Oh yeah. 6 months comes because they get that's where they get paid out, the bonus money
Yeah.
thing. It's literally like so insane and like. And this is like children we're selling here. Can you get a better like I'm sure I own a marketing and sales company, right? And then I do private investigating. Okay. They don't know anything about me because they never assessed me. What they did instead was they they created the character of whoever fit their agenda for the day.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
They just
I mean, at the end of the day, it's their show,
interviewed
not
nobody.
mine. Oh, no one got interviewed. Not a single person except for the incompetent, like my mother. Okay, you bring up about trauma or things like that, like her daughter getting like beat up. What do you think my mom's gonna say? That has PTSD and like it's still healing from those things. That like she's a great grandma, horrible mom. Put it that way. I love her to death, but in that aspect, okay.
Got you.
What's the word? It's like that was like I was her rock. Like she leaned on me the whole time of like her and my dad's like relationship and whatever, or the marriage. And I learned that that's like everything of like how I gently parent my children, which is just like parenting. It doesn't, but nowadays you have to call it gentle parenting and like, or Montessori, or like just being kind and like living in the moment, the present. And like, it's crazy that they were able to take, so because last year they were trying to say that the father, my oldest daughter's dad, he left Luciana after his mother. Oh, I'm sorry. They got into an argument. She was like trying to pull on the baby's car seat, and so he said, "Let go of it," because she's like, "It's not okay." I'm right there. I'm watching the whole thing and it's on camera and everything, right? So he didn't get charged anything, but they investigated because like possible child endangerment. That investigation was completed, and that county was in North. I give that county in Massachusetts. I gotta say they were the only ones that were not corrupt like this. They were just. They just like did the. I mean, there was lies and some bullshit still. Still in there. You know what I mean? For on that side, but like they. At the end of the day, like they proved dad innocent, and it was dismissed. You know what I mean? And it's like, but like they can do whatever they want. Like these girls are now experiencing possible like long-term effects of this, and it's like, why are we doing this to children? Like, why are we going to sell them? I'm like, sell me. I'm more money in foster care. I make more money. They'll make more money adopting me.
Yep. If you need dollars in prison, put me in there and get my damn kid out and give it back to my wife. I will go sit in a jail cell for the rest of my life if that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, foster care. I qualify for like caretakers. $12,000 a month. You'll make that for me. Why are you going after these little babies that didn't do anything wrong? Oh, because they can't talk. That's why.
Yeah,
they can't talk. They don't have a voice.
You can redevelop them. So, and now you got John. There's a study you should check it out. Nobody's checked it out. It's from the University of Baltimore. It's called. Of course, I'm going to bring Grant right here. The harms of removal. The effects and the harms of removal.
Yes.
And the University of Baltimore did this study, and I've been like an advocate of this thing for like a year and a half now. Once I found it, I could not believe it. It was crazy the amount of information that study holds. And it's not only is it show the harms and effects, which there's none good in that whatsoever. There is no good effects. Now you have John Hopkins coming out talking about heartbreak syndrome, which is a real thing. You know, like there's all of these effects that are happening. Right. So they started taking record of this stuff when the Clintons, did the Family Safe Act in 1993. That's when they incentivized all of this stuff, and it really got the motors going for everybody. And now, like this is what we're getting. We're getting alcoholics confused, the drug addicts. We're getting prostitutes, people with no self-esteem, committing suicide. Like these are great numbers. Good job, CPS. You should be proud of creating such strong and independent individuals by stealing them and destroying a family unit. You should be good job, CPS. Praise you.
And I'm not going to let them win this battle.
No, you can't.
I'm going to pray for them at night because they definitely need healing. No, I'm not. I'm not even willing to do that because at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop fighting for my babies and the justice that they will. There's no way out. Like just like the way I mean, like they say that send this and that. At the end of the day, like this, and I'm angry. Like I'm sad and my heart is broken. And like when I tell you, I can't even like think in the middle. I'll be doing something and I can't even think. I just start like looking at pictures of my daughters, and it's like. I don't even have an attorney to representing me right now because they're not appointing one until the next court date on December 1st. That is not okay. By law, I am to be at the hearing that the children's attorney had made happen because there was callers that called in, including specialists, including the family members and friends. That why are the kids not with mom? These kids are not doing well in the foster care. They need their mother back, and they need to go back to mom and dad. And the child's attorney said they've already been replaced with mom. And I was right next to my aunt, and she was on the phone with them, and I said, no, they haven't been placed with mom. It's mom. And he goes, they haven't? They told my doctors that they placed them back with me on July 16th. They didn't do that. And it's insane to think that, like, I can sit here and it's like, there's only so much I can do. I can't represent myself in juvenile court. That's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. I know. You know what? And I apologize that Mr. Davis isn't here. Again, I apologize to all you guys that Mr. Davis has been on his little save the world, but that's important. Because I can't give you any answers to these because I am not a lawyer. I mean, I can suggest and talk, and you can't use these as law for me.
I bet
you know what I mean? But I do have.
No one will be like, I mean, it sounds insane. It sounds insane.
What I can do is this though. After the show, if I can get your email address from Grace, I would like to get in touch with you because I have a group of people that I think you might be interested in being involved with. If you're interested, yeah, I will. So Grace, I'll get that if Grace must have your email address, so I'll make sure I get that from her. Well, so now you're just now you're just in limbo. You got no lawyer.
December 1st. No lawyer, and like I'm trying to now. Like this is where I go back to like trying to. I'm retaining a lawyer that's like I'm at the final stage of this, right? Where like they're trying to talk me out of getting an attorney. The DCF does not said I don't need one. Like I've been doing this the whole time, anyways. I'm surrounding lawyers, and I'm sitting there like, okay, and like let me just make sure the constitutional rights are in front of me. You know what I mean? Yeah, and now it's like I'll spend every last dollar to my name and cash it. Like I will go in debt for years. I don't give a. That's just my kids. That's my kids. Those are my miracles. So you know what? Yeah. I'm like, unfortunately, I gave the system more benefit and didn't benefit the doubt. Meaning, like, for what it was worth, the beginning statement started with this: "Let us show you what the system's really for, and let us help you and take advantage of all these things." You showed me what the system is. DCF, DFACS, whatever the CPS. You did show me what it is. And this is why we need to defund DCF, because at the end of the day, there should be one agency overseeing the entire protection agency. It should not be called Department of Family and Children, Department of Family and Youth, Child Protection. Division. No, just what is it? Protection for the
Division of the Family Services.
And like keeping it together. Yeah, keep the family together. That's what they talk about, right? And like let's like indulge in like to help the ones that really need it. I called in my witnessed a little girl getting beat up, in a parking lot. They didn't come.
Yep. It's crazy. We have a guy.
I'm sorry. I don't know what you said.
Yeah, we have a gentleman that's on here. His name is Corey. And this guy has been, now he's won his things, but he called multiple times. The doctors called multiple times. His kid was going to be a statistic. No one came to help that kid. He had to do it himself as the father. So when you're the people that are calling in, they don't get the help they need. They're coming after us, the people that don't need it. Like they're stealing our kids, really.
No, literally, like they're putting me in a place where like pushing me into like wanting, like how much more can I take? I have my like.
You'll take as
like there's no
as much as your kid comes home
for those babies. Exactly, because there's no bigger motivation to do like be the best version of yourself possible and fight like every battle that comes your way, including the ones that like I didn't choose to have cancer. I didn't choose to have feeding tubes hanging out of my stomach and having a backpack. I can still live with it. I'm alive. Why can't I praise the fact that I'm here and that I'm able to be a present mom for my kids?
You know what? That cancer
And like,
picked the wrong person to mess with, and so did CPS.
oh, it did. Mm-hmm.
So
They are
I can
like
see that.
they. I think they're gonna beat. Yeah, you know what? I think that at the end of the day, this terrorist attack that they want to do on like these families and hold a ransom, because at the end of the day you end up losing.
You got this.
You can take them back, but like then somebody's like, "Give it back." I don't care. At the end of the day, hold. It's game over. I'm not gonna stop fighting until every child gets returned home safely. I don't care what they should be wearing cameras on their bodies. Every single worker, by law, if a cop has to do it and they're arresting people and taking them into custody, so shouldn't them. You're gonna take babies into custody without cameras on you? Are you kidding me?
I got some people that you're gonna be in touch with. We are up with our time. I could keep doing this for a long time with you, but is there anything last words that you? No. I would love. Well,
don't stop.
Is there any last words? Is there any last words that you want to leave out there?
I'm praying for everyone that's going through something like this. It sounds extremely insane. I didn't believe it. Like, I can't even talk about it sometimes. Like, it's hard for me to comprehend, like, wow, like, I'm saying this out loud and there's nothing I can do. Just, like, stop it. It's like, it's so insane, but it's like, it's really happening. These issues are really real. And for someone that is a mom to moms, to dads, to just don't stop fighting. Just don't stop fighting and don't let them make you believe that you're any less than who you are. You know who you are. You know what they will drive you to the grave, and that's what they want to do. To like they want their way or no way, and like I just don't stop fighting until we get protection agency out here, and your kids are returned home, and no kids are removed from homes that they don't need to be removed from. However, the children that do need to be removed are saved because they need to be saved. It's not fair for them. It's not fair for us. It's not fair for the babies. Especially the ones that don't have a voice and they can't tell them to stop. We can't tell what's going on if they're getting touched or they're getting beat, assaulted. You don't know. So at the end of the day, I just want to with this. Kevin Sears, when he said, you don't have rights. And if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. They'll make you believe you don't even know who you are. So just keep that in mind. You know who you are and don't let your confidence that's it. I just want to say thank you. And I moved around a lot. Can you tell I'm when I worked up? She gets me so hyped up because it's like, if I'm not angry, I'm gonna cry. Crying, I can't I gotta make movement.
It just takes over. It's an overwhelming
so
thing.
Push away.
It's hard.
No, it takes over your whole entire life because your whole life is chill and babies, So But my email, I am going to the Department of Justice. And they responded back, and if I'm hoping I get a petition. They sign off on petitioning them to protection agency.
Right.
They call it the Department of Family and Children is going to be
gone.
Get them out of here.
How about just right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tonight. You've heard it. I can't even end on anything. How much how much more can you give a lady that's cancer or kids are taken and she's fighting like hell? I can't even top that. So thank you so much, Angelina, for being on. You keep the up. I'll be in touch with you after when I get your email from Grace. Everybody else have a good night. Keep fighting CPS. Grace, let's get out of here.